I, 30, was always really close with both of my parents, and my parents divorced a few years before my dad died in 2019. My brother, 26, lived with my mom, 51, until she moved out of state and he got his own apartment, but she paid for everything for him and let him be on her health insurance as long as possible. But when she moved for work, I guess it made him feel like he was kicked out of the nest too early, and he had to start paying for his own things. But he was 23 at the time, and he got a better job to cover the difference. In 2019, he got engaged and we were all really happy for him. And then my dad died and my brother got some money, which he was able to put towards the wedding. During all this time, my mom was going broke trying to keep up with some bills and help him with his phone bill, and she asked him if he would help her. I also was sending her money to help out. He lost it. From what I heard, he was yelling at her for asking him for money, and he thought she was asking him for some of the money he got from our dad. They were divorced before he died, so she didn't get anything. In 2021, he and his fiancée were to get married, and a few months before the date, he publicly said he was not going to send our mom an invitation, and he was going to ban her from being there. We were all really confused and concerned, as it seemed to come out of the blue and we didn't know what happened. I tried to talk to him about it, and from what little he told me, it was because she tried to ask him for money that one time because she was struggling and she wasn't helping him. I tried to reach out to his fiancée to talk to him about it, and she told me it was her idea. I told her that was not fair. Our mom made less than he did, yet he still expected her to help them with their bills when his fiancée doesn't work. She told me if I kept standing up for her, that I wouldn't be invited to the wedding either, and I decided not to go. I cut all contact with them both, and the family on my mom's side that did go said it was really awkward with my mom not there. Not long after, they had a baby, making it clear she was pregnant during the wedding. And my mom wants me to be an aunt, and my brother reached out expecting me to send gifts to them for having the baby. But I ignored his request for donations or gifts, just because he now has a kid. The last text I got from him was, "Our daughter won't know what it's like to have an aunt because of you. I would hope that you would look past everything and help out." Am I the a-hole for wanting nothing to do with him because how he treated our mom? Not the a-hole. Funny how he considered you an aunt when he wanted gifts, money. OP's brother doesn't want an aunt, wants a cash machine, plus gifts, plus free care, etc. As soon as OP can't help him, she will receive the exact same treatment that their poor mother suffered. OP's brother will treat them like crap the minute they aren't useful for him, his wife, etc. Not the a-hole. And don't give them a dime, nor your time, OP. Not the a-hole. Brother is looking for handouts and a free ride. Not a genuine relationship and perfectly fine throwing a tantrum when he doesn't get them. Good call on limiting contact. Not the a-hole. He is not asking you to be an aunt. He is asking you for money and gifts. These are two entirely different things, and you should stay no contact. I'm willing to bet that if you ask to see your niece without giving any gifts, you will be told no. Ask your mom how much money and gifts she has had to give to see her grandchild. My parents retired 5 years ago and moved back to South Africa. I bought the house we lived in because it is in a mature neighborhood with massive trees and a huge yard. I paid market rate and I have a mortgage. The only advantage I got is that I didn't get into a bidding mess. I asked them how much they wanted and I paid it. It is an older house built in 1956. It is a very large bungalow-style house. I've spent the last couple of years turning the basement into a rental suite so I could pay off my mortgage faster and later on have a place for my kid, when I have them, to learn to be independent when they are old enough. Well, my parents decided to be big shots back home and blew through 20% of their money in 5 years. They were giving gifts and loans they weren't asking for payments on and supporting a bunch of relatives. It is their money and I have no right to tell them how to spend it. They both have pensions and investments that mean they aren't going to be poor or anything. They just can't keep living like they are if they want to act rich. So they moved back here to Canada. They asked me if they could move in with me for a while. I said yes because I love my folks. I can afford to not rent it out. So I got the suite ready for them. I picked them up at the airport and took them home. When I opened the back door and led them in the basement, they acted all surprised. I thought they were impressed with my upgrades. I showed them the kitchen and bathroom, out-in, and the 2 bedrooms. A couple of days later, they approached me and said they were embarrassed to be living in the basement and they couldn't have their friends over because of that. Since I am single and it's just me and my cats, why don't I move into the basement and let them have their old home and furniture back? They would be willing to pay me rent. I said not. That's my area now. I paid for it. They started getting all mad and said that they could have gotten more for the house if they hadn't sold it to me. I invited them to leave and go elsewhere. They never fully unpacked, so it was easy. I drove them over to my aunt's house, and now they are calling me constantly because they only have one room there. It is a huge house, and it is just the three of them, but my aunt won't let them use the guest suite. It is for when my cousins or her mom visit, which is quite often. Now my siblings and parents and family are calling me and begging or ordering me to take them back. I don't think I should have to after being disrespected in my house. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. It is no longer their house. They sold it to you. If they want to act like they own the place, then how about they offer to buy it back off you? Not the a-hole. When they sold you the house at market price, there were no strings attached. You were kind enough to let them live rent-free in the basement, which should have been fine since this was only supposed to be temporary. I guarantee you if you moved into the basement and let them take the main part of the house, they'd never move out, then guilt you into paying little to no rent. They're family, but don't let them take advantage of you because of their lack of responsibility with money. Your family is only pressuring you to take them because they don't want to house or deal with them. Not the a-hole. It's really hard not to suspect your parents always planned on having the option to move back into their house. If they have enough money to offer you to pay rent for the house, then they have enough to rent a nice place from someone else. I think they would be horrid tenants for your rental suite if you let them back. My wife doesn't like my parents that much, but I always figured that was normal. I don't really enjoy spending time with her family, but when you are married, you make the effort. We rotate holidays, so it's my year to go to my parents' house. They recently divorced when my mom's cheating got exposed, and she is living with her affair partner. Our kids are young, 7 and 5, and obviously they know about the divorce, but they don't know she cheated and probably don't understand cheating as a concept. The man is always nice enough when we see him. I mean, I kind of think he is a piece of crap because he is a long-term family friend, and he is the one who exposed the affair because he was so in love, but never consulted with my mom. But whatever, it isn't my life. They aren't doing anything sordid in front of the kids, and he is polite. My wife says she doesn't think it is right. It is normalizing cheating even if they don't understand it now, and she is refusing to take the kids. I told her that everyone ducks up sometimes, and she is being self-righteous. I told her that I will be taking the kids, at least for a few hours, because that was our deal. Right now, she is really mad and said I have no moral compass. Yes, the a-hole. It's not unreasonable that your wife doesn't want to be around your mom. You're okay with it, like really too okay with it, because she's your mom. But what she did was really crappy. Trying to blow over it based on your agreement of taking turns for holidays is dismissive. What if you guys didn't travel this Thanksgiving and spend it together? Then see your mom next year when feelings and tensions have settled better. Insisting you'll go with her without your wife is extremely childish and cruel. Everyone sucks here. You guys need to agree on this. Insulting your wife and taking the kids to your mother's without her on Thanksgiving is not going to result in long-term familial harmony. And it's also not going to be the last time you have to decide whether to let the kids go to grandma's. Yes, the a-hole. You've lost your moral compass, as evident by your statement about her cheating. And your dad cheated too. No wonder she didn't want to be around them. Listen to your wife if you love her. Or you can do as you plan, flippantly as you are, and give the wife the insight into who you really are. Could be the wake-up call she needs. Sorry, dude. I'm on your wife's side. I wouldn't want to normalize cheating to my kids, and I certainly wouldn't want to sit around with a person and her lover pretending that I condone their actions. Yes, the a-hole. Why not see your dad, who seems like the actual victim in this scenario and could use the support? Because he isn't the victim. He cheated on her multiple times, and everyone told her she had to suck it up because he was a man, and now his ego is bruised. I mean, they both kind of suck, but he got what he deserved in my opinion. Thanksgiving is the one holiday that we host at our house because mother-in-law grew up in Spain, so she never really cared about Thanksgiving. My mother-in-law has issues with food. I wouldn't quite call her a picky eater, because to me that is someone who eats like a 5-year-old, and just eats chicken nuggets and cheese pizza. She eats a good variety of food, but is very sensitive to quality, and she seems to have some emotional issues surrounding eating. She kind of starves herself when she is unhappy, and her husband has to cajole her into eating, and she uses food to assert dominance. Anyway, she will not eat my cooking. She has never been rude about it, but the amount of time she has claimed she felt sick just isn't believable to me. And it isn't like she is trying to watch her weight, because she will eat unhealthy food in other situations. I think it is a control thing, but it pisses me off. Every year on Thanksgiving, she claims she has a stomachache and can't eat. Again, she isn't rude, and she sits at the table with us, but I know she's lying. Last year was weird. Her husband put a spoonful of food in her mouth as a joke. Note, in general, she is all about jokes and everything is funny, and they both have a mean sense of humor, but she seems to enjoy it. And she started actually choking and went to the bathroom and cried for 20 minutes. This guy never apologizes for anything and thinks everything is funny, but he apologized profusely, seemed really guilty, and they left early while she was still fighting back tears. I said that I'm not willing to invite her this year because I find this so rude and it stresses me out to be around. My husband says I'm being unfair and it should be his decision, though he doesn't cook, and he says she isn't obligated to eat and she is always nice enough. Info: Are you upset because she won't eat your food, or is there another reason? Does she have an eating disorder? Because it sounds like that more than she's avoiding food to spite you. I don't know if she has an eating disorder, only that I've seen her eat normally plenty of times. She has never been rude to me, but she does not interact with me at all unless she has to, and I have the gut feeling she dislikes me. Also, she can't express herself and seems to use food to make people realize she is upset, like starving herself and her husband having to guess at why she won't eat. So I feel like it is the only way she can express she doesn't like me without upsetting her son. Not the a-hole. It's been years and your mother-in-law still refuses to eat your cooking. Eating disorder or no, this is still absurdly rude. From mother-in-law to daughter-in-law, this is a colossal FU, and I think people may be missing this. If your husband insists on them coming, don't cook. Make him do it all. No a-holes. It sounds as if your mother-in-law has an eating disorder or serious issues with her relationship with food. It probably comes from a place of stress and control that she doesn't eat, not like she is trying to be rude. On the other hand, as food is often used to show love and celebrate as a family, I can see why your feelings have been hurt. The problem lies in a couple of things. The situation last year with your father-in-law was out of line. He clearly understands her issues with food, and rather than let her sit there and choose not to eat, he pushed her to be really upset and ruin the night for all. You can't ban your in-laws from Thanksgiving. It has to be a joint decision between you and your husband. Your husband is right that she doesn't need to eat, but he seems to be ignoring your valid feelings. It seems like you do the majority of the cooking and are the one putting in all the work. As they are his parents, he really needs to have a discussion with his parents, particularly his father, about the situation to make sure last year doesn't repeat itself, and seeing if there is anything you can do to make mother-in-law more comfortable. Sorry, but I have to say yes, the a-hole. It seems like your mother-in-law has a lot of issues around food, and her behavior really speaks to an eating disorder, or food being used as aggression, punishment as a child. As in, you will eat this really disgusting thing because you did something wrong while everyone else gets something else. Starving herself, needing to be cajoled into eating, picky eating with a very small amount of items, and crying over the food are all connected to a potential eating disorder. You are right about the control thing, but not control over you and your meal. Control over her wants for food. You say you know she's lying, but how? You honestly have no idea what is going on in her head. Furthermore, she isn't rude, doesn't insult you, etc. She just doesn't eat. To say she isn't allowed to come would make you the a-hole. Mother-in-law has been married for 10 years. I really don't know the guy because he doesn't speak much English, but he is polite enough when they visit. We don't have much of a relationship with either of them because mother-in-law thinks visiting us is boring and is offended that I don't want to spend money I don't have to visit her across the world. Mother-in-law met her husband 11 years ago when we were on a family trip together. She extended her own trip for a week, and after knowing him for 3 weeks, decided she was going to move from America to Jordan to be with him because he was the love of her life. Obviously, we were extremely concerned and did not want her to move to the Middle East with a stranger, but she did it anyway. They at least seem happy. I don't really know due to the language barrier, but she seems okay and they are affectionate. But I still think moving across the world after 3 weeks is insane. We talked to mother-in-law on the phone last night. She wanted us to come see her this summer and meet her in Dubai. I don't want to go to Dubai, as I tell her every summer, and she doesn't want to come here because I'm apparently a bad hostess. I suggested we meet somewhere neutral and brought up Cancun because we love it there. Mother-in-law made a comment about she loves it there because that is where she met her husband. Since then, proceeded to tell my 10-year-old daughter about how she moved to Jordan after 3 weeks. My daughter looked horrified, and mother-in-law just laughed and said she will understand when she is older. I said, I really hope she never does. When my daughter walked off, I confronted mother-in-law and asked why she would tell a child that. I said even though it worked out for her, it was a stupid thing to do, and I don't want her romanticizing something like that for my kid. I want my daughter to grow up to be a smart, independent, intelligent woman and not give up everything for a guy she's known for 3 weeks. Mother-in-law said I was being rude and that she feels bad for my daughter because I'm such a miserable person and probably jealous. Then she hung up. My own mom took mother-in-law's side and said she wasn't romanticizing it. She was telling a true story, and I must be jealous because who wouldn't be? Yes, the a-hole. Your daughter will be confronted with all kinds of crazy stories throughout her life, and it's your job to raise her to make her own decisions, not shield her from every decision you think is stupid. Yes, the a-hole. What was she supposed to do? Lie? If your kid drops everything for a guy after 3 weeks, that's a reflection of your parenting and how you raised her, I would argue. Yes, the a-hole. You seem very judgmental. If your daughter is going to be smart and independent, she will come to her own conclusions and make her own decisions. In life, she will hear about many decisions people have made she may or may not agree with. That's life.